Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyper hyped to announce tonight's guest. It is the one, the only Mr. George Hunter. Sir, how are we? Are we good?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Mate, I am buzzing. I am 5 by 5. In the words of Tim Strange, I am blessed to be stressed, is the saying. So we're good, mate. We're good. Um, this was meant to happen last week, but due to platforming issues, I had to rearrange for tonight. So thank you for sliding it a week for me. But yeah, we got here eventually. We get to talk, and it's good timing in a sense because I actually got to see you in action last Friday. So before I chatted, obviously I've seen your stuff on socials and YouTube on the Pursuit and everything like that. But I think it's always cool when I get to see somebody that I'm going to talk to in person doing the thing. So yeah, obviously last Friday night at UKW Batley, I got to see you in action, jumping around, holding the belt, looking good.
Yeah, man. Thank you. What
So
did you think? Were you enjoy the show?
yeah, man, it was good. Because yeah, I mean, I hold my hands up. That was my first time at UKW. I live in Morley now, and I used to live in Dewsbury before, so I'm absolutely disgusted with myself. I've never ventured over to. I got there, I was like, when I lived in Dewsbury, my doctors used to be just round the corner, so I probably walked past that building hundreds of times and just
Yeah.
never knew what it was. And now that I know it's there, it's like, fuck that, yeah, of course it is. No, yeah, I should have known that. So, but yeah, it was my first, but not my last time.
Oh, God.
If we're going to try and get there as often as I can do. Just because, to say, I know you're there, I know Seb's there, obviously Joe's there. Obviously, I know the boys, the brand. I was there to show them some support because it's a bit scary when you come over from Lancaster to Yorkshire kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they've got some awesome people coming through and the talent that's there. Yeah, dude, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like some really good guys at UKW, like you said, Seb, Joe, Evan as well, and then like Sigma, Clip. There's definitely a good group of people who are like really good and like yeah, worth watching. And obviously the brand as well that have been coming over the past few weeks. That was my first time meeting them as well, so that's cool.
Ah, do you stand with the brand? Do you think they're all right?
Yeah,
They're
I
good
like
guys.
them, mate. I think they're good guys. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't say too much because, they were up against your boys. 21 Union. You're tight with those two, so I know the loyalties would have been shifted on that side. But they still had the respect. They raised their hands afterwards. I think it was all fine. So everybody gets along. So it's okay to like the brand.
oh yeah, of course. Nah, it's always good to see them.
A bit of showmanship. But dude, obviously, before we started talking, I'll get to the generic stuff in a bit. But obviously, if anybody follows us on socials, you'll have seen the reel. Like tonight on Where the Left Side, George Hunter, and I've kind of put together some clips from your matches. Um, obviously, thank you. That was obviously UKW footage you used. I'll shout them out for that. I should have done it in the post. But yeah, dude, I mean, just looking at the matches, putting them all together, it's like not to besmirch anyone else. I don't want to sort of put anyone else do anyone dirty kind of thing. But I think the first thing that when I first saw you in action, the first thing that kind of jumped out at me was this dude looks like a professional wrestler. In the
Oh,
sense
thank
of
you.
you build, you kind of already. I know it takes guys X amount of years to try and get to that point whilst working on the basics, but it's kind of like, yeah, man, you're already there. You've kind of got that size to you, but you've got the agility as well.
Yeah,
Because that real mate, you was flipping all over the shop. We had springboard 450 splashes, rebounds, disaster kicks. So yeah, there you go. That's the first compliment of the episode, dude. You look like a
no, thank
professional
you.
wrestler.
No, I really appreciate that because, like, I mean, some days I look at myself like, yeah, I feel good today, and then like I watch my match back and I'm like, oh God, I look terrible. So I do appreciate it. It's nice to hear.
Oh, so that's the thing. Obviously, I know. Again, I've talked to people about this before. Some people, I was always of the mindset of you've got to be able to watch your stuff because you've got to be able to not see what you've done wrong, to improve on it, kind of thing. But I know some people are like, I can't watch my matches. I just can't bring myself to do it, kind of thing. Or they'll get somebody else to watch it and then just give them like clip notes and be like, right, tell me what I did wrong. so I know what to work
Yeah.
on, kind of thing. So you're able to sit there and kind of watch back your matches and be like, okay. Are you overly critical though, by the sounds of it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very overly critical of myself. Um, like even in a match, I'll know straight away when I'm messing it up. But I always watch it back straight after, and then I never watch it again. Like, I think there's been like one match I've watched more than once. But yeah, I hate watching my stuff back, but I know I need to do it to know where I've gone wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm also able to recognize in the ring like what I've done wrong, and then obviously when I watch it back, I see more. So
I think that's the problem for some of you guys though, is like you sort of said, you know when you've done something wrong in the ring. But on the flip side, as fans, mate, we're sat there none the wiser. We're probably just like, that looked awesome. We have no idea that that went wrong, or we don't know that your foot was slightly out of position on this, or you was out of position on that kind of thing. So as harsh as you want to be on yourself, or you kind of critique it, chances are we may not, unless it's like a
yeah,
freaking massive blunder. You've dropped somebody on the head, or you've decked it, or tripped over your bootlace, or something. We're probably none the wiser, and it probably still looks awesome, and we're probably just sat there like, bravo.
yeah, I need to start thinking like that as well, like being less harsh on myself with certain things. Because like you said, it would be a little thing like, oh, my footwork were wrong there, or like my strides weren't big enough. And obviously I'll notice that, but like you said, people in the crowd aren't gonna notice that. So
Straight away, we wouldn't have a clue, mate. I mean, I like to think I know a little bit about something. I can sit there and be like, most of the time, I'm like, this looks, or we just get lost in the moment. We're watching the match.
yeah,
But sometimes when stuff like that happens, it just kind of makes it look a little bit more real. Sometimes, it makes it feel a bit more like a real fight because it is a little
yeah,
bit
definitely.
scrappy. It can be a little bit rough.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, yeah, sometimes it has got to be like the bit of scrappiness does help. Especially if it's like a match with a bit of a story to it and it's a bit of a feud. Uh, and maybe you have that bit where something's gone wrong. And that bit of scrappiness can almost add to it, or like you said, like the crowd might not even notice because it just looks a part of it.
That's it. Right, let's get the generic box ticked. Obviously, we're talking UKW. Um, Dude, yeah, I mean, what kind of made you want to become a wrestler? What made you take them first steps through the door? What was your motivation? What kind of got you up and thinking, no, mate, I can do this. Let's crack on.
So, like as soon as I watched wrestling, I worked out the other day. The first time I watched wrestling, I was 5, so I was pretty young. Uh, the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, I want to do this. Um, I know I was watching wrestling up until I was about 16, and I was even then I was still like, yeah, I want to do this. I got to do this. But I could never find a training place that was like local, so I sort of gave up with it. And then last year, the start of the year, well, whenever WrestleMania was, I watched WrestleMania and I was like, yeah, I might as well give this a go. So I had a look at like local training schools, and UKW were the first one that came up, and I was like, oh, it's only an hour away. I can drive now, so there's nothing really stopping me from doing it. So I just went down one day, and it was probably one of the scariest thing I've ever did. Like I remember, like before I went in, I was like, I could just turn back now, and nobody would know. But I went in, I took a bump, and I was like, yeah, I gotta do this. This is sick.
It must have been pretty intimidating as well, because obviously, I mean, if nobody's ever seen like UKW, I mean, the first thing that sticks out to anyone, and when I first into the building, was like just when you see the size of the ring. I
Yeah,
mean, as a new starter, that must have been like, that's freaking huge. I know most people are used to like starting off in like 14 or 16, like rings, but mate, 21, that's massive. That's a cardio workout just by itself.
oh yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, at the time, I didn't think anything of it because I just assumed everywhere were 20-foot
Yeah.
rings. I thought that was like the only ring you could get. Um, but yeah, like obviously I've figured out now that there are the smaller rings, and I much prefer smaller rings. So
Actually, I've spoken to people before about it, just adding like that extra step on and stuff. It must be like really hard to kind of like keep navigating between sizes to be like, right, okay, because obviously, I don't know, just uh, 10 steps, normally 14 steps on a bigger ring kind of thing, with those extra 4 steps. It's just, yeah, it's the ability to be able to adapt. I think it's kind of
Yeah,
impressive.
definitely. Yeah, it's hard, like especially like going from PPW's ring, which is slightly smaller than 16, and then having a match on a Friday in a UKW ring. It's like such a big difference, and that was something really hard to adapt to. Like,
I figured it would, like I said, I wanted to mention it because to me, that's kind of thing like people might not, acknowledge just how tricky that could be. Because, like I say, if you're used to just running the ropes, so you must be counting the steps while you're doing them, kind of thing, so you can kind of know when to do whatever. And then to add those extra 4 steps on, or however many it is, yeah, that just shows the ability to adapt. That's just kind of like, right, okay, different circumstances, different environment, but you're still making it look natural. You're still making it look good. So.
yeah,
UKW for a while. We've mentioned Pursuit. Obviously, you mentioned the Pursuit ring there. I saw pictures on your socials. That you was at the Paul London seminar.
oh yeah, that was good. That
Hey,
was cool.
that must have been mental. Love Paul. Paul's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I was when it got announced, I told my family and like they know wrestling because I grew up with it, but they don't like know wrestling. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to Paul London seminar. He's an ex-WWE guy. I used to watch him when I was younger. And my mum went, oh, did you have his figure? I was like, yeah. And I showed her the figure, and she's like, yeah, I know what that is. And then, yeah, no, that was sick though. That was so cool learning from Paul London. It was good.
Definitely strikes me as he's going to have loads and loads of wisdom, loads of knowledge, and kind of like, especially suiting like your style as well. That kind of like so I said. I mentioned the ability and the agility, like the acrobatics and stuff. Man, that's right up his street. He's like an innovator back in the day of that style.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's cool to see like one thing I was worried about getting into wrestling was obviously I'm not the tallest. And like compared to WWE guys, I'm not the biggest either. And I was always worried that that'd hold me back. But then you see people like Paul London who aren't 6'6" giants, and they still made a really successful career out of it. So it's good to see.
yeah, no, definitely, especially it's more so now kind of thing. Obviously, yeah, the 80s or the 90s, the land of the giants kind of thing.
Yeah,
But most obviously, like you Chris Angles, your Chris Jericho's, your Kurt Angles, AJ Styles, all those kind of guys. Well, if you meet them in person, they're freaking hench as fuck. But they're
yeah,
not unrealistically hench. They're
yeah,
attainable in height wise. So also with Pursuit, I noticed when I was going through things. Obviously, you was part of the PPW Fight Factory collab show invasion, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing. Again, anybody who knows this channel knows we love Pursuit. I've got nothing but admiration for that place. I think it's amazing. But I also love Fight Factory, so I was really excited for that show. I thought that it's going to be amazing. The talent meeting up. Spoke to Jack Maxwell afterwards, kind of thing, and was picking his brain about it. And but that must have been, for Pursuit to be like, right, we've got this show. We're going to take a handful of our talent and put them against a handful of Fight Factory talent, and you're one of the handful.
yeah.
That's good, man.
Oh yeah, it was like such a great feeling. Like, I remember getting the message. That was my first like outside of UKW booking, and I'd been following Five Factory for a while anyway. And I was like, this is so cool. I can't wait for that. And then the experience itself was sick. Like it's been one of my favorite nights wrestling so far. It was great. Really enjoyed it.
Because the venue looked awesome as well. I had to double check at first. I thought it was like Left Bank in Leeds or something. I thought it was like, is this a true Brit show? Because it's very similar kind of like vibe to it, energy kind of looked. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, mate, it looks awesome. Like I said, just to be a part of that, just because, well, not actually really talked timelines. I just kind of picked up on you saying like sometime last year, you decided to go to UKW. So I don't know, sometime last year, was it like early last year? Are we talking, have you been around just short of 2 years, just over 1 year?
so my first training session was, I think, 13th of April last year.
A year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half now then, yeah.
Good. Oh, a year and 4 months, I should say. Yeah, so just under a year and a half. Mate, that's like I said, that makes that more impressive, that Fight Factory thing, because again, Pursuit aren't short of options. There's people that have
Yeah,
been training there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and so on. That they could have been like, right, we'll use these. We kind of got to put our best foot forward. If Fight Factory fans don't know who we are, we need to showcase what we do. And yeah, for you to get that shout, I mean, that would have been what, a couple of months ago as well. So just over a year into your journey,
yeah.
you're being asked to represent.
No, yeah,
That's
it, like it was an honor really. Like I really appreciated them asking me. And I'm so glad that I got to do it.
another thing that always intrigues me is, especially when I've spoken to people, like so early on in the journey, everything like that. Obviously, I always ask like, why did you get into wrestling? Where did you start? Blah blah blah. But it always intrigues me as well. Like, if when you started training, did you kind of have the did you know what kind of a wrestler you wanted to be, or was it a case of like, I'll start training, I'll learn the basics, do the fundamentals, and we'll see what feels right, what comes naturally. I mean, you've got the agility, but I know some people probably start wanting to be Jeff Hardy, but
Yeah,
when they get on the top rope or they try and jump off the top turnbuckle, that no, no, feet on the ground kind of thing. But
yeah.
are you doing what you wanted to do from day one?
Uh, kind of. I mean, when I first went down, I was like, I'm in fairly decent shape. I could probably be a powerhouse sort of thing. So I was thinking, yeah, I'll be like Brock Lesnar. I'll go and just throw everyone about. And I started picking people up, and I'm like, this is really hard. Like, I do not want to do this. Um, and I was always into like flippy stuff because like Jeff Hardy, loved Jeff Hardy growing up, AJ Styles. Um, so I went up to the top rope during like open sessions and did some stuff, and it sort of went from there really. Like I was when training, I had a mix of the power and the
Yeah.
like acrobatic stuff, but recently I've delved more into like the high flying sort of stuff because it comes a lot more natural to me, rather than the power stuff, and I find it endurance wise a lot easier. Um, like I'll happily do a 450 and I'll be fine stamina wise, but picking someone up for a body slam that take it out of me for ages.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, well, yeah, I suppose that just makes sense. It's not. I've never really thought about it like that kind of way before, because I don't know, because of like it's deemed as high risk, everything like that. You think that the 450 would be the one. I suppose that might be more long term, just kind of feeling it after a while, kind of thing. Whereas when you're picking somebody up, that's sudden
Yeah,
impact. That's kind of like straight away you could feel it and be like, "Oh, no, I didn't like that. No,
yeah,
that's yeah. So, because, well, I mean, so obviously, I pointed out at the start of the episode, man, your appearance, your build, you look. So, was you already kind of in shape then, like that, before obviously you got into wrestling? You kind of started from day one looking the business.
yeah. I mean, um, I wouldn't say I was in amazing shape, but I had like I'd been going to the gym like 2 years beforehand, so I had a decent start point, I guess. But then while I've been wrestling, I've been focusing a lot more on my diet and stuff like that, and actually training with a purpose. So I guess it's helped with like the gym and wrestling together.
Not going to hurt, is it? Like sort of said,
Oh
especially like
yeah,
places like UKW. I know Pursuit have also got like the in-house gym as well, kind of thing, and as well now you're surrounded by people who've kind of got the same mindset, so you can kind of experiment with stuff and see what works, what doesn't work, like diets and plans and things like that. So I suppose it helps having a handful of people around you who have kind of got the
yeah,
same idea.
yeah. It helps you like hold yourself accountable as well.
Yeah.
Because when you're around people like I use Kemper for an example because he's like massive and he's built. Um, but when you see people like that, you're like, right, he's getting these opportunities. He's going to America. I can't not go to the gym and not train hard and then think, why aren't I getting these opportunities? You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
look at someone like Kemper or even Nathan, for example, and I say, right, I've got to train as hard as them if I want to do the stuff they're doing. Um, So it definitely helps with that, like surrounding yourself with people who are doing well. It helps you hold yourself accountable and stuff.
That's it. Kind of gives you that benchmark or that sort of target, like that. They're setting the bar and you're trying to climb up and reach it, kind of thing. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, like I say, it just helps. I mean, yeah, obviously, a massive shout out to Kemper because I was watching a video of him earlier, and looking at him now, looking at him like a year ago, his transformation, his body. I know his confidence was high a year ago, and now his body's starting to reflect, the confidence, and he's putting the shift in. And again, he's looking more. I mean, obviously, he's always had the height, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's building up the muscle. He's looking lean. His first steps quicker. So yeah, the dude's putting an effort. It'll be very easy just to coast by and being like, "Oh man, I'm 6'6". I don't have to try that hard."
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But
definitely. But now he's 6'6" and Jack, and it's like now he's separating himself from the people
but
who are just 6'6".
that's it. You see, you
I,
set
I
yourself
respect
apart.
it.
Dude, I've got to mention it at the start of the episode as well. Mate, I look like that's another thing I want to sort of say. Like, obviously, when I kind of was watching your matches, when I first kind of saw you, and I sort of say I saw you as like the powerhouse, doing all this kind of sort of stuff. I was looking at you, like, man, this dude just reminds me like a modern day Rick Rude. And then you start doing the flippy stuff. I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome. But I'm not gonna lie, it's very obvious. I'm making the Rick Rude thing because you have a glorious mustache. And I think
Thank you.
there's so few and far between in wrestling nowadays. You know what I mean? You don't see the gloriousness of a quality mustache, and it's there. It stands out.
Thank you. I originally did it to wind up my girlfriend, but she actually really liked it, so I kept it.
Backfired. Um, but yeah, I just kind of like. So I was going to say, the man with the glorious mustache and the best hair in wrestling, but I do know Gung Ho Motley, so I've got to shout out Gung Ho's
Oh yeah.
mullet over anybody else's, unfortunately. But it's getting there. But yeah, just that whole combo, dude. But again, that's why part of me was just like, this dude just looks like a wrestler. It's just the touch. Like I say, it's just the embodiment of like a Rick Rude or something like that. I was just like, mate, if you break out a neck break on somebody, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, yes.
No, that's a big compliment, I'll say that.
I was about to say, like, I was going to be like, yeah, man, you look like Rick Rude. And I'm like, this guy's young. He's going to look at me and be like, who the fuck is Rick Rude? I'm like, man. But I guess, yeah, I was kind of hoping that he's going to be one of those timeless ones that, regardless of age, any wrestling fan knows who Rick Rude is.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I took a risk there. Took a risk. Um, but like so I said, then you're like, yeah, you started watching wrestling. Like when you was at a young age, getting into it. We've talked about what kind of how you work in the ring, and you mentioned Jeff Hardy and stuff like that. But is there anybody else that you kind of watched when you was growing up that kind of, I don't know, even subconsciously, do you think they've had an impact on your style, your character? So like you sort of said, you mentioned AJ Styles as well, man. You're coming out with the hood up, you kind of got that thing on. I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm seeing very AJ-esque kind of like, in the best way possible. Like, it's just a good entrance. You've got the hood up, the hood comes back, shows your face. It gives the camera something to focus on. It's like, yes, it makes all the sense.
Yeah.
But anybody else that you kind of pull in? I don't want to.
Um,
I hate using the word. I don't want to compare you to them. I don't want to say you're the next them or something. But
yeah.
somebody that kind of had an influence. That's the better word.
I guess like growing up, um, obviously Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was my favorite, my absolute favorite. Uh, and then I went through phases of watching TNA, so AJ Styles as well was a big one. Um, RVD, I really liked RVD. Um, yeah, RVD were a big one. Um, obviously John Cena. It was like ruthless aggression era, so when I sort of grew up. So yeah, John Cena. Absolutely hated Randy Orton. So
Oh,
I love him now, like I can appreciate it, but when I was a kid, I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's not this guy.
So easy to hate.
Yeah. Um, but I think that was it growing up. Uh, but then I look at like that era now. I watch a lot of it while I'm working. I just have it on in the background, and I see people like Paul London. I can really appreciate like how good they were. Um, But even still now, I watch a lot of AJ Styles and Finn Balor and people like that. Just like, yeah,
Like I say, it's not the land of the giants. The guys, like the obtainable guys, the guys that you can kind of
yeah,
look at and be like, well, if they can make it, it kind of makes it feel a bit more real. It's a bit more, yeah, achievable. Uh, Especially like guys like Finn Balor. I mean, the dude's one of the best ever in the world, in my opinion. But again, not a big guy. Average. I saw him at
yeah,
Preston a few times, and yeah, he's shredded, but he's wiry, and he's not that
yeah,
tall. You saw him down the street, like, oh, yeah, it's cool, it's cool, it's cool. You're like, oh shit, it's a professional wrestler. Damn. And then, yeah, it's that. But he's just that good. It didn't matter. Nothing was
yeah.
stopping him.
But then you look at like Rey Mysterio, is obviously tiny, but he's one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, and every kid loved Rey Mysterio as well. So
That's it.
even in that era as well, where like you said, everyone was massive, and Rey Mysterio was still one of the biggest names, and it's just good to see.
Yeah, he was definitely like, he was the exception to the rule at the time, wasn't he? He was that
Yeah,
good. The standard rule didn't count for him, kind of thing. It couldn't hold him down. Um, And yeah, God bless every independent wrestling show in every country ever. Loves Rey Mysterio and loves his masks and will always show support and sell his masks. Never underestimate the power of a mask, man.
oh yeah,
But that's another thing, obviously, when people, again, early doors, in the journey, you go from being a wrestling fan to obviously stepping through those doors, stepping through the curtain. Um, are you able to still enjoy wrestling as a fan? Because again, I always ask this of everyone who's like only so far into the journey. It's like, has it had an effect on you being able to watch wrestling, or do you find yourself just sitting there and being like, "Fuck, I'm critiquing everything. I'm picking stuff apart, or I'm looking for stuff," or can you just switch off and be like, "I'm still a fan."
um, I kind of struggle to watch WWE, um, but that's just I think because I can't watch it consistently, so I can't follow along with it. I can't really get invested in it because of that. So I mainly watch like the big PLEs and that. And then if I get a chance, I'll stick a Raw on in the background. I think actually wrestling has made me appreciate the independent scene a lot more. So I enjoy watching independent matches and just stuff like that, and I enjoy like going down to watch and um I can watch that without critiquing, but then I'll watch WWE and I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
he's like on the biggest stage and he's doing that. What's he playing? That sort of thing. But
What are you
yeah,
doing?
it's made me appreciate the indies a lot more. Like,
Cool. Because that's another thing as well. That's always like a definite sort of split. The amount of people I speak to, and they're just kind of like, I didn't even know there was a British wrestling scene until I started training, and then I got put into this weird magical world of British wrestling kind of thing. Or then you got other people who got into wrestling because they were fans of House of Pain or Southside or NGW or a certain promotion that was near to them
yeah.
got them into wrestling in the first place, kind of thing. So they were aware of the scene. So yeah, so I mean, obviously, before stepping foot into UKW, was you just watching, like you say, TNA, WWE, or was you aware that wrestling in Britain was so sort of huge and varied?
No, I had no idea. Like I mean I watched WWE consistently up until I was like 16. And then it became a case of like watching WrestleMania, SummerSlam, just like trying to keep along, but like I just didn't really have time to watch it every week. And then I try and keep up with TNA as well. Um, but no, I watched WCPW when that were about.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is British wrestling. And then obviously that went under, and I just like I didn't realize that the UK scene was as big as it is. And obviously coming into it now, I can see how big it actually is, and it's
Yeah.
this massive community of people, and like some really talented wrestlers in the UK as well.
That's the thing. Like so, I'm saying, until you're in there. Like I said, I've been watching British wrestling for like 10 plus years, kind of thing. So I've kind of followed it up and down. And at the minute, again, people want to come at me and sort of say, "Oh, world of sport was better. It was bigger in the '80s." Blah blah blah. Different time, different period, different era, different conversation. But for me, British wrestling right now is the best it's ever been. It's as big as it's ever been. You know, we've got people like Leon Slater going over, like I said, Kemper and Nathan Black just been over to America. We've got guys going over to Japan, and we've got fucking hundreds of promotions. Not all of them great. No, most of them good. Some of them great. And it's just put the schools as well. Like you guys are benefiting because I think obviously 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you might have been an hour, 2 hours away from a school at any given point. Whereas I think now no more than 15 minutes away from a school or no more than 30 minutes away from a good school. It's you guys have kind of you can kind of sit there now. You've started the journey. Mate, it must be exciting because it's just going off.
Yeah. No, it's great. Like I can go down to PPW for an example, and I don't have to plan my whole day around it because it's down the road. Like it doesn't take long to get there. And obviously it's one of the best schools in the country. So it it like we're really like I guess we're really lucky to have it be so accessible now.
It's to see it from where it started a few years ago. Obviously the first batch of people that kind of came through and it's just building. It's the social media game though, man. I'm telling you, obviously, as great as everybody is that obviously goes to the school, that trains there, that comes out of there. What Nathan and Liam have done on the socials and the relationships they've built with other schools, different promotions in other countries, it's mind blowing. And as you know, like you said, because you go there and train, you're reaping the rewards kind of thing. You're getting that exposure. If you're on a reel and it goes on Instagram, there's a good chance it's getting 1 million views.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking mental.
I put PPW down to uh it's contributed so much to like helping me grow and gain exposure. Like just from them 10, 15-second reels of just doing a move. It's crazy.
That's it. Because obviously, actually, I did the reel like leading up to this episode, and I was like, oh, I hope a few people, see it, don't know who he is, look at it, and be like, oh, that dude's cool. I want to go check him out. And then part of me was just like, mate, get a grip. The dude trains at PPW. Millions of people have seen what he does. Your little clips ain't gonna do diddly kind of thing. But I was kind of like, oh yeah, shit. I'm no Pursuit. I'm no Nathan Black. So, but it's great. And like I said, it just gets exposure for you guys. It's just getting you out there. And yeah, that's obviously Pursuit. I know we spoke before. I've had Seb Mercer on. We've had Joe Cedric on. We've had Evan. I was going to say Evan Knight, but obviously Evan Bishop. On previously. I know they're your boys. I know you're very a modern day clique. So all the four horsemen of UKW.
Yeah, I get
Uh,
along with them really well. They're great guys.
you guys travel around a lot, don't you? Or you're kind of in the car with them sometimes.
I went out to rampages with them. But with work, it's kind of hard to get up to rampages because that's one of the ones where I have to commit a full day to it. And it's usually a Sunday, which I tend to work. So, but I have been up with them and it was like really enjoyable, good day out. And yeah,
Yeah, I suppose that's the thing though. Like sort of said, it's a full day commitment in it because it takes like it's like a 2 hour drive up there, if not more, and then yeah, everything else 2 hour drive back. Um, that's just where you sit there and you curse life. You're just like, damn it, why do I have to have a job? Why do I have bills? Why do I need to do this? Why can I not just do this every day? You know,
yeah,
well, hopefully, mate, a few years time, this will be what you're doing to pay the bills. So it'll be all good. You can go wherever
that's
you
the
want.
dream. Yeah, hopefully that's the dream. Like, that'd be sick.
Dude. But yeah, obviously I mentioned those guys because like I mentioned earlier, it's sort of all about like training, like picking up like Pursuit and stuff. But as I said before, there's so many other great schools out there as well. I know you mentioned like going up to Newcastle. Have you ever sort of ventured out to like BWR with them? Have they ever kind of tried to talk you down that way?
Yeah, I was gonna start going with them like every other Tuesday or something like that. But apparently they've changed the classes to a Friday, which I'm on UKW very regularly. So
Yeah.
I just can't do it, which I'm gutted about because like Scotty Rourke takes in. I'd love to learn from him because obviously he's great as well. So, but
Yeah,
uh,
there's definitely things you could learn, but you can't turn down bookings for training.
yeah,
I'm guessing
that's it.
that's supposed to be 101. You know, if you've got an actual booking, that kind of tops a training class.
Yeah. But yeah, if I get a week off, I'll definitely go down.
Well, if I
I
never see
decided one
you,
of
if I don't see you at UKW on a Friday, then I'll imagine you down, yeah, taking bumps off Scotty Walk or something. They'll be like, "Where's George?" He's getting beat up by Scotty Walk. It's all right, it's fine. Um, but again, that kind of comes back into like you say, you mentioned, Fight Factory being your first booking, outside of like UKW and everything like that. But obviously that was kind of through, Pursuit. So, kind of had that. I'm guessing, obviously, because I always imagine the first booking being really daunting, outside of like your school. I'm guessing that was okay because, like I said, you kind of still had that little bit of a safety net there. You obviously still had familiar faces.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That definitely helped. So I remember we got there really early because Liam had a seminar, and I went down with Liam. Um, and they were building the ring, but they had like a big group of people on it already, and they didn't need any more help. And Liam were like speaking to the promoter, and I just stood there like I just didn't know what to do. It was so awkward. Um, yeah,
Uh, um, 'cause that's the thing as well. Obviously, I'm presuming it's kind of been drilled into you. If you go anywhere and they're putting the ring up, offer to help pay your dues. It's nice to. It's all about networking. To show that you're
yeah,
willing to. Well, obviously, yeah, somewhere like Fight Factory, those guys will put a ring up in like 30 seconds, and it'd be like, oh shit, okay, right, I've got nothing to do. Yeah, you just step back and watch them do their thing. Because obviously, if
yeah,
anybody doesn't know, Fight Factory obviously hire their ring out to various other promotions. They go along with the ring. They generally turn up, put it down, bosh. It's like fucking poetry in motion. So yeah, I can imagine just being stood there and being like, I ain't getting in their way. It's just
yeah.
tunnel vision.
Oh yeah,
Um,
rapid eye. It was so quick. I think they got it up in like 20 minutes. Crazy.
it's dude, the boys have got skill. I was at True Grit when they did the cage match for like Kemper and Brady, and that was a Fight Factory cage. I think we all had to go outside for like 10 minutes, while they put it up. But we managed to get this massive cage put up, and like 10 minutes time, we walked back in. It was just like, oh, we were like, wow, that's awesome. So, yeah, those boys know. If there was a cartoon, it would just be like a blister of smoke just going around it. It'd be
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, that's it. But the reason I mentioned that was because, again, speaking from this side of the curtain, I can only imagine, when you get that book in and you have to go to a show and it's full of people you don't know. That's the first nerve wracking kind of like, shit, I'm out by myself, I'm going somewhere. Um, to be fair, though, I think in this day and age, the chances of you going somewhere and not knowing anyone would be pretty slim.
yeah. Um, I think every booking I've had so far, I've at least known like one or two people.
Yeah.
Because the majority of them have been like on the same show as Evan or Mercer. So I've just like sort of tagged along with them and then introduced myself while I'm with them. Then they're like, oh, he knows Mercer. Yeah.
He's all right. You get the Mercer seal of approval kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Bless him. He's smashing it at the minute. God, he's always absolutely tearing it up. But that's the thing as well. Again, sorry for anybody who's watched various other episodes and heard me mention this word. But networking. I've been told so many times. It's absolutely key. I know it sucks. Like sort of saying, when you've got work or you've got life, you can't always do what you want to do or you can't commit to stuff because it just seems like it's such a key part, to progressing, letting people know who you are, going to shows, helping out, doing stuff. Yeah, the magic word is you've got a network. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It's definitely a massive factor.
But like I say, it's just having the time to do it. I suppose you've just kind of it's quality over quantity. So when you are able to get out there, you just kind of got to make yourself known, have that presence. But
Yeah.
again, I talked about it earlier. That's where the hair and the mustache come in. People aren't going to forget that. They see you do, they're like, "Oh wow, we got a young guy here, built like a brick shit house, with a quality mustache and a dude, get him on the show.
I hope so. I hope you do.
If I was a promoter, that would be my logic. That's it. That's it. All right, yes, get this guy on. So again, though, man, hopefully, like I said, just getting out and about. Um, I don't want to. We sponsor True Grit. I have nothing to do with them in that sense. I've got no power or anything like that. But every time I go to a True Grit show, I'm always kind of looking out for seeing who's helping out. Who's on the ring, who's doing the running and stuff like that. And what I'll say, mate, is if you can ever, get to a True Grit show, or if you ever see him reaching out for asking for anyone, jump on it, mate. Seriously, it would be a
Yeah.
great kind of. I know Seb did York show a couple of months back.
Sorry?
I know Seb did the York show. So he got
Oh
a
yeah.
slap from Big T as a result of it.
Yeah,
But
I heard about
yeah, he did. He did help out. And yeah, I just it's just one of those places where I love True Grit, and if I could sort of see somebody, I think you're obviously in the area, you train at Pursuit, you kind of got the look and everything like that. Personally, as fantasy booking, I'd like to say I think you could tear it up in True Grit.
that. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
That's all right. The thing is though, you got guys like Billy O'Keefe there. As they mentioned, Gung Ho earlier, Sammy Blue tearing it up there now. Just there's a lot of talent where you're familiar with, I presume, and you would be able to put on, a quality, match. So that's just me fantasy booking. I'm just thinking, but it's not telling you what to do. But yeah, obviously this. You don't need me to tell you. But if you're able to get to it, if you're ever able to get to a True Grit show, dude,
Yeah.
do it because it'll be an awesome show as a fan to watch. But yeah, you get to meet JC, let him know who you are, put it out into the universe.
Yeah, I'll definitely look out for it. To be fair, like I do want to go watch a True Grit show anyway, so it'd be cool to go down and help out and get to meet people.
That's it. I mean, especially just as a fan, like you sort of said, you're a fan of wrestling
Yeah.
anyway, you're a fan of the British scene kind of thing. And what they're doing at the minute is it always makes me laugh when I go to the lead shows because there seems to be like a pursuit corner. Right, where I've always kind of got my spot where I stand. I guarantee, like, there's always about 5, 6, 7, 8 people stood behind me, but they're all pursuit guys, just there, to watch or
Yeah.
obviously, there's a handful of people from Pursuit on the shows every show. So, I'll
Yeah.
look around and I'll see Mo, I'll see Hamza, Jet sometimes there, Ellis is there. It's like, oh yeah, cool, check you guys out. So you'll have somebody to talk to at least.
Oh, definitely.
That was another watch I wanted to talk about. Actually, that's just kind of sorry, mate. It's how my mind works. So I'll mention something interesting. You had a match against the ultimate luchador. We're talking about masks earlier. You had a match against Mega Calibre.
Oh yeah, oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, great. I really enjoyed that actually. It's a fun one to put together, and I like working with people where it's like similar styles
Yeah.
because you can just have fun with it. You don't have to work around things. Just everything sort of flows into everyone's bit. It's cool.
And obviously, anybody who I don't know, I don't want to say the name behind the mask, but if you know the I kind of did earlier. To be fair, I don't know why I'm just trying to shoot myself in the foot now and trying to go okay frame again. But if you missed it earlier, ignore it. I'm not going to spoil the Mega Calibre illusion. But if you know the person behind the mask, I've heard so many sort of people sort of say, he's just got a brain for wrestling. So I presume, when you're working that match, when you're talking about it. He's the kind of guy that would just be awesome to sit down with and, bounce ideas off of. And it'd be very good to learn from. Just working with him kind of makes you a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. I've had like lots of opportunities to speak to him. We obviously train together as well,
Yeah.
so it's like, um, yeah, he's definitely got a brain for it though, and he you can hear it when he speaks. Like he's passionate about it, and he enjoys it, and obviously have him having that lucha libre style. It's like it's something I'm interested in as well. So it's always fun.
He does. I mean, and it's authentic as well. It was only a couple of years ago. He was down in Mexico. with Pursuit, honing his lucha skills. So he's a legit lucha.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Talking about awesome matches, though, obviously, we talked about UKW earlier. They've got a pay-per-view coming up on the 30th of August. You're representing. You have a match.
Yes, Tommy Dillon. So he's attacked me twice out for no reason. Um, well, so he wants the title. But me and Tommy actually used to get along. Like when I first debuted, he was like, "Oh yeah, I've got your back. We were if you need anything, come see me." And I win a title, and he just turns on me straight away. So yeah, well I have to sort that out on the 30th.
Dude. I was going to obviously shout out the match that I saw last Friday. Not, I'm going to go at UKW, not besmirching them, but as a non-wrestling fan, sometimes somebody who's new to the product, what I would
Yeah,
say is on the match graphics for the weekly shows, put the names of the wrestlers. Because I was trying to looking at this, I was going to come on, like, right, who did you face last Friday? So I
yeah,
went on the page, looked at the show graphic, and I was just like, right, it tells me it's a title match, but it doesn't tell me it doesn't tell me your name or their name. So I was like, fuck, I don't know. I can't remember the name of the guy you fought last week. But yeah, it's
yeah,
just a little bit of a feedback. I was kind of like, as a new person, as a new fan to the product, I'm like, who was that? Who was that? What was that guy's name? So,
yeah. I've never noticed actually. I didn't realize they didn't put the names
yeah.
on.
On the
I'll
pay-per-view
mention
ones,
it.
there is. I've noticed it on the pay-per-view
All
ones.
right.
But it's just the
Yeah.
weekly, episodic ones. I was just like, oh
Oh,
man. Because there was a guy there as well. I think I found him on the pay-per-view. I think I want to say it's called Cliff, but it doesn't seem right.
Cliff. Yeah, Cliff
Is it
Harrison.
Cliff? Right, okay.
Long hair.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
I saw him obviously last Friday. He had an awesome match against the Yorkshire dude. I'd call him the Yorkshire dude. But again, he was just kind of like Chris Jericho, like the second coming. Like everything, his mannerisms, everything about him, his movement. I was just like, that dude has been watching so much Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Subconsciously the dude's just like, and it's not a bad thing. It works. It works really well. And yeah, he bit of feedback for him as well. Saw him afterwards. Like that spear was awesome. That was a genuine moment
Yeah.
of somebody hit a spear and it actually generally made me go, oh, "Wow, that was awesome." Because again, from this side of the curtain, I've seen good spears, I've seen bad spears. I presume they're quite a hard move to hit and make it look legit. But yeah,
Um,
if Cliff is watching, good job on the spear, mate. It looks awesome.
it did look really good actually. Like the spear's one of them, like you said, that it can look really bad and it can look
Yeah,
really good. Um, it's a move I'd love to do, but I know quite a few people do it at UKW, so um, I'm
step
not
back.
gonna I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I'd love to do a spear. I think a really fun move to do. Just go for them. Like
I can see you doing more of a Goldberg spit where you don't actually have to lift off. Your feet can still
yeah,
be planted on the floor, and you just literally throw yourself forward into the midsection
drive
kind of
into it.
instead of just being a projectile. You just stay planted and just literally brick house the guy down.
Yeah,
Uh, that'd be a different spin on it. I think that'd look awesome.
yeah.
But yeah, I love Edge, but Edge's spit. When you see somebody tucking the knees, you're like, no, I don't like that. Or when somebody does a front flip after a spear, that winds me up. That's one of my pet hates.
I think
I think Bobby Lashley
Moose does
started
that,
doing
doesn't
it. Yeah, but I think
he? Yeah,
Bobby Lashley was the first guy I ever saw do it. And I was just like,
right.
oh, I like it, man. Again, I'm sure if somebody did it to me, it'd fucking snap me in half. I'm just talking from an uneducated side of things. But I'm just like, no, don't flip. Just that's why I like Cliff so much. He just looked like a projectile. The dude just went straight and just
Yeah.
looked like he flew through the air. It's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
He doesn't even do it either. Like
I
that's
know.
not part of his
He
move.
said to me,
That's the craziest
I
thing.
was speaking to him afterwards, and I was like, "Oh mate, that spear was amazing." He was like, "Oh shit, really? I don't normally do them. That's like my first one or something. I normally do the kill switch. I only hit it because the Yorkshire guy normally hits it or whatever." I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
right, well, who knows? But that's even more impressive. Well done." I'm like, "Yep, awesome. Think about doing it more often."
Yeah, it
So
should. It looks sick.
UKW, 30th of August in Batley. Hopefully, I'm plugging this show now. Hopefully, there's still tickets available.
Yeah.
Uh, a whole list of awesome matches on there. You know, your boys have got their shots at the tag team titles.
Yeah, fingers crossed for them, man. I hope they do it.
But yeah, again, you know, talking UKW, it just seems like it is a very obviously, you know, we've talked about Pursuit before. You know, I've always kind of called that place like a dysfunctional family. You know, it's just everybody's kind of like very, very cool, very supportive. But I've got that vibe from UKW as well. You know, I can imagine you go in there, go to training, turning up for shows, after shows, and it just having that kind of family feel. You know, you're among people that you can just have a laugh with. You know, even if you're not talking about wrestling, you can still just relax.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's not really anyone there where it's like, oh, don't speak to him. You know what I mean? Like everyone gets along and everyone's like supportive. Um, yeah, it definitely is like that in a sense where everyone wants everyone to do well. Because at the end of the day, if everyone's doing well, then the UKW product itself is going to do better because everyone
Yeah.
looks good. So makes sense
That's it.
to,
Yeah, definitely. Like I sort of say, mate, because if you're getting better, the more I was, like sort of said, you know, I was there to show support for the brand originally, and then Joe and you know a few other people, obviously yourself, because I knew you was coming on. But yeah, if they help elevate you, in contrast, you then elevate them, kind of thing. So if you go off
yeah,
and be successful elsewhere, when you come back to UKW, hopefully you'll bring a few more people with you or a few more eyes. And it's just, yeah, you know, you help each other out. And I think that's the thing with we mentioned British wrestling earlier. I think a lot of people have not everybody, but I think a lot more people have got that mindset now where, you
yeah,
know, if you become huge or, you know, if you become big somewhere, that helps me out kind of thing, or that helps them out, or, you know, they can help me out, I can help them out. It all seems a lot more, yeah, people standing on other people's shoulders and elevating each other.
yeah, definitely. And it makes sense. Like you want a good crowd, you want lots of people there, so we should make everyone look as good as possible and work together to put on the best shows, and more people come, and then everyone has a good night. So yeah,
That's it. Well, that's it. Because I was talking to somebody previously. You know, that's the whole point. Is you know, as much as I'm talking, you know, you guys, you wanted to go out there and do this, that, and the other. As long as we talked about it at the start of the episode, mate. You know, being critical about yourself or you know picking faults in your matches. But the fans, for the most part, we're not going to be any wiser. We don't know. You know, we're going to leave happy and we're going to think like that match was awesome.
yeah,
But that's the key. That's what any show wants is for the fans to go home happy. But you as a wrestler, one of your goals has got to be to make sure we're talking about you.
yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah. You gotta
You, you've got to have
be
that
memorable.
selfishness as well. You've got to work together, but you still got to have that little bit of, I don't know,
Yeah,
you want to be the thing that everybody's talking about.
I guess being unique helps with that. So,
Yeah.
um, me, for example, like I do the handspring Insiguri thing. Um, I started doing that. Just nobody at UKW does that or anything similar, and I was just like, oh, I'll do that. And I do the standing moonsault as well because like nobody does the standing moonsault. So like that separates me from everyone else in terms of being different. And then obviously everyone has their own thing. So a kid will be like, oh, who's the guy who did the backflip? And
Yeah.
then that gets them talking. So I guess just like obviously elevate everyone, make everyone look good, but then be unique as well. But obviously, I
Memorable.
guess if you stop me on AEW, I'm like, I just I wouldn't be very unique or anything like that because everyone does that stuff. So
But what you would do is you'd look at who else was on the card and you'd be like, right, okay, they can do this, they can do this, they can do this better than me, but what can I do better than them? And then you have to
yeah,
kind of you adjust a match to focus on what you can do better than everybody else, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
I think it was somebody I was talking to. I think it was Nathan Cruz ages ago. He sort of said like when he turns up at a show, you know, he'll look at the card and he'll see who's on, and he'll be like, you know, because if you're a versatile wrestler, you know, you can kind of do the match can go a few different ways, whichever way suits you, kind of thing. So yeah, you know, he's like looking at it and being like, right, okay, Robbie X is on the show. That okay, so I'm not going to do anything high flying because obviously that's
Yeah,
Robbie's. You know, I'm not going to do it better than him. So why try? Okay, I don't know if I can win Commander Nash's on. Right, that's comedy off the table. I'm not going to try and be funny. And there you'd
Yeah,
kind of like try and plan your match around who else was on the card to make sure you
yeah,
were memorable. So make sure, you were able to highlight your pluses and what you can do better than anybody else.
yeah, definitely. No, it makes sense. You don't want to go to a show and everyone's having the same match. So
This kind of struck me because I mean that's where, like you sort of said, it helps with yourself having the agility, but then also like you sort of said the look where, yeah, like I say at UKW, you're doing the moonsaults, the backflips, the springboards, and it stands out. It's different. But you go somewhere else, and you've got that, you've got a few strings to your bow. You don't have to just rely on that agility side of things. You
yeah,
can't turn up, and you could just, again, depending on who you're working with, man, you could like, actually, you know what? Let's try something different. I'm a big guy. I'm not going to bump for you for 5, 10 minutes. You've got to work on knocking me down.
yeah,
That's the approach. You can just work that angle because
yeah.
you can basically.
I I have done it at UKW where I'd be against someone like Sigma or Sketch, who aren't necessarily the biggest guys, and I'm like, it doesn't make much sense me like flying about doing stuff like that when I'm like bigger than you. So I'll have a match where I do switch up and I'll throw him about, and it's I guess the big guy versus small guy story to it. But then it's like because I'm not the biggest, I can face a big guy and I can be the small guy and I can
Yeah.
fly about and do stuff. So like being like on the average height, sort of being like average height is kind of like it's good and bad because it's like I can mix it up and it depending on who I'm against.
What's coming up? Anything you want to shout out? Anything we should be looking at getting a ticket for or going to watch?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously UKW this Friday, I'll be there. That's in Batley. Then we've got Kapow in Chesterfield on the 24th, which is Sunday. I believe it's an afternoon show, so I think it's like at 1 or 2 o'clock start time, something like that. I have to check. But I do regularly put it on my Instagram, so that'll be there. And then Classic British Wrestling in Hull on next Friday, the 29th. And then obviously Wrestle British and Aftermath on the Saturday, 30th, me versus Tommy Dillon for the TV title.
Dude, so you got a busy few weeks ahead. Um,
Yeah,
I want to shout out Kapow because that's a promotion. Again, I've spoken to a handful of people, from Kapow kind of thing, and they seem to be putting on like really good family shows, on a regular basis kind of thing, and got a hell of a lot of good talent going on there. Um, so yeah, the Kapow scene, you enjoying it?
it's my debut, so my first time down
Ah.
this Sunday.
Have you not? Have you been
Uh,
there? I thought you might have been kicking around. You might have been backstage or something, or gone
no,
down with
no.
people. No, no. Wow.
I think they're branching out into the north, so like doing some like Chesterfield area and stuff like that. So yeah, it came through that, and obviously I know a few people that they've got for the shows. So yeah, they from the card it looks pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
man.
excited. Should be good.
It should be like I said, yeah. So I just presume you kind of again. We're going back to that networking thing. You've been there. You've been maybe into a few shows. So this is literally like, yeah, you're walking through the doors first time. Pop your kapow cherry, get to meet everybody, and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It should be good. I've
Yeah,
heard a lot of good things. So yeah,
yeah, yeah. I know a few of the guys. I've spoken to a few guys. Obviously, the Kapow's come up on various episodes, and it's always been, they've always had nothing but nice things to say about it. Locker room seems awesome. It's just a laugh. But really, yeah, everybody gets on, and mate, you'll smash it. I'll keep my eyes peeled because obviously I want to sort of see the aftermath of that. Because again, I think it's the kind of place where you turn up once, and I'll be very surprised if it doesn't become like a regular thing.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, Dude, and then yeah, like sort of said, you got the UKW pay per view on the 30th, Classic Wrestling on the 29th. Yeah, mate, absolutely smashing it. So we're looking forward to. I'll try and get to UKW this Friday. If not, I'll be there for the pay-per-view. Obviously, I presume there's not a UKW show the Friday before the Saturday.
Yeah, there will be one.
You're
I'm
just
not
not on
there
it.
that
You're not there. Okay. Yeah, well, if George isn't there, I'm not going. Sorry. Who cares?
week.
I'm kidding. But yeah, dude, thank you so much. You mentioned Instagram before. Let people know where they can find you on Insta so they can see this all for themselves.
I believe it's at g.hunter at underscore PW, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but if you type in George on it should come up.
It comes up. I think, yeah, because obviously, anyway, my boy Ash on the Work the Left Side Instagram account will, tag you in the post when this gets uploaded to let people know where to find you. So if you're not following George, hit that follow button, check him out, see what shows, he's on. If you can get to a show, get to a show. If you can buy some merch when there's some merch, buy some merch, show some support. You know, I'm just waiting for. So obviously you got the jacket with the GH logo on it.
Yeah.
You repping any merch out yet? Or
Uh, no t-shirts yet. I've got an idea for a design, but I've not got it sorted yet. But there will be
that
soon.
that logo on the back of your top, man, I think obviously that's kind of t-shirt worthy. That'll be quite
Yeah.
cool as a t-shirt.
Yeah, definitely. I've got an idea for the mullet and the mustache as well. So
Dude, I was going to say we need a mullet. I didn't want to bring it up again. I didn't want to keep focused on it. I didn't want to give you a complex about it. But I was going to say, man, we need a mullet and mustache t-shirt of some sort. Whether it's
yeah,
just like just a white negative on, negative contradiction kind of thing. Contrast,
yeah,
that's what I'm looking for. But dude, yes. So yeah, follow George on Instagram. Keep your eyes peeled for any merch that comes out, any shows that he's on. Go and watch them. And as always, I'll say thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, all the generic stuff we ask you to do. And keep your eyes peeled for future episodes and all upcoming guest announcements. Because I've been an idiot and I haven't planned any guests. George is my last guest that I have on the books. I need to jump on it and get some people sorted out ASAP. So keep your eyes peeled. So I will always try and bring you some awesome people to talk to. And yeah, thank you for watching. And remember, always work the left side. Goodbye.